Welcome, I'm Bailey from Glowforge.
I'm Nick from Glowforge.
And we are here today to tell you the top 10 things you need to know before you go to Glowforge. Or if you already have a Glowforge, that's okay too. These will be interesting things that you may or may not already know. I have a feeling if you're printing, you probably figured some of these out.
Yeah, right? Yeah. If not, I'm just looking through the list right now. They're probably pretty self-explanatory for those of you who, but I mean, this is a really great point. What we love about these live streams are how we have owners and I guess prospective owners joining us together in this moment to think about printing and talk about ideas. So if you out there have tip number 11, 12, or maybe tip number 0 and -1, whatever you feel is most important and most captivating, most helpful to someone with a Glowforge, please share it in the chat. We'd love to see all of those.
Sometimes when I'm lurking on the Glowforge Facebook groups, because I do, I don't usually comment or like or anything because
you're famous, right? I mean, you don't need that trouble.
I'm too famous. I don't want to draw the attention to myself. But sometimes when I'm lurking in there, I'll see somebody say, "Oh, I wish that the Glowforge app did this," and it's something that the app does, like copy and paste.
Right.
And then people are like, "Oh, it does," and they tell them how, and it's like, "Oh, I mean, I know how that is. Like, who reads instruction manuals? Not I.
Not me.
Of course, you should definitely read your Glowforge instruction manual when you get your Glowforge.
100%. But I get it. You don't learn it off by heart, right? There's going to be things you forget. So
we're going to just get started. We're going to do a print kind of as we go. Feel free to throw your questions into chat as we go as well. We've got some experts in there. So if you've got questions about which Glowforge you're thinking about getting, making a certain thing, using a certain material, whatever, challenge us. We're up to it. So
also, shameless self-promotion is very welcome here too.
Oh, yeah.
If you do own a Glowforge, let us know what you're printing, what your favorite material is. If you've got a portfolio or a store, throw the URL in the chat. Share it with everybody.
Maybe people are still shopping.
I mean, yeah, last-minute gifts, especially if you're local to someone else who's watching.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
So our number 10 thing you need to know about Glowforge, and I think kind of like the biggest wow, is that with Glowforge you can work with limitless materials, either proof grade or not. So Glowforge is, it's a 3D laser printer. It eviscerates material with, that makes it sound really friendly and nice, right? It eviscerates material with a beam of light. And so it's so adjustable and flexible. It can do, it can engrave on a print, something as delicate as a piece of printer paper.
Yeah, something like this.
Yeah, all the way up to cutting straight through, this is a piece of thick maple plywood that's got obviously been in a Glowforge. and so it's amazing just all the different things that you can cut and engrave and score.
Yeah, and not just paper goods or wood either. I mean plastics, stamp rubber, as you may have seen in one of our previous live streams. Food, super popular. Yep. You probably saw on Instagram a number of pumpkin pies and things around the holidays.
Yeah, a MacBook.
Yeah, absolutely. Metal, painted metal surfaces, fantastic. Now, Glowforge can't cut through metal, I will say that.
Sure.
Same with stone and ceramic and things, that this is a 40-watt laser. It would require a lot more power and a giant garage and a lot of safety stuff, but you can engrave these materials for beautiful results. Yeah. It's really incredible.
I kind of like to think of Glowforge like a microwave when people ask me, like, well, what can you put in it? Because there's not a definitive list, which is why we made proof grade materials, because proof grade materials are a line of woods and leather and acrylic and a few other things that you definitely can put in your Glowforge, press print, and have perfect, beautiful results. It's going to engrave gorgeously. It's going to cut through every single time. Or you can kind of do your own thing, experiment, buy things at the hardware store, pick up a rock off the beach. And if you're going to do that, you just need to, do a little research if you can. We have this amazing community forum, community.glowforge.com, where people have tried like everything.
Pretty much everything.
So
right now. Yep.
if you got something you want to try, type it in the search bar, see what other folks have done, and they'll recommend like settings for you to use, which Nick will show you what I mean by settings when we're showing you the app in just a moment. But
key takeaway, super versatile.
Yes. And to get you started, we start you off with some Glowforge proof grade materials, just so that day that your Glowforge comes, you're not worrying about settings. You just get to make something.
That's
you
it,
know?
yeah. So this comes with every Glowforge. This is $150 worth of materials. There's a bunch of different stuff in here, some leather, some hardwood, some plywood, some acrylics, some prototyping material. And all of these have their settings for perfect cuts and engraves built into the app, which we'll show you in just a sec, so you can hit the ground running.
Yeah, which that's our number 9 thing that you need to know is the Glowforge app. So that's how you run your Glowforge. It's called Glowforge Print. It's accessed on the web, so you don't need to download anything to your computer, or you don't need to like download an app to your phone or anything like that. It's all just from a web browser, so you can do it from a computer, tablet, phone, what have you.
Mac, PC, doesn't matter.
Exactly.
Absolutely. And I'm going to show you it right now.
Yeah.
Let's dive right in.
So we're going to print one of these cute little mailboxes today.
Oh, yeah.
Here, I think we can show them close up with our phone cam.
That's a great idea. Very, very seasonal, very appropriate, I think, for some of us. And these use a pretty cool technique called a living hinge, which is this pattern that you see here. Now, this was a flat, strong, shapely piece of plywood, and by cutting these lines into there, we can actually flex it around a curve to create a shape like this. And this mailbox has a little hinge on here. It actually comes with some little pieces of mail that you can personalize if you like, so you can actually post something. And then on the side, we have the little flag that lifts up too.
So
pretty cute.
I love it. I mean, and if you don't do Santa in your family, I like that the blank is just says letters to blank, and so you could do, I mean, gosh, when I was a kid, any sort of like fantasy creature that might come visit my house, I was into that storyline. I was in like a leprechaun, a tooth fairy.
Wow.
I mean, I was gonna say this a couple weekends ago, it was just like Krampus night, which I didn't think letters to Krampus. If anyone's seen that horror movie from a few years ago, whoo. So maybe not Krampus.
We digress. But I mean, who knows?
You could get very creative with this, and it's just like so fun. I mean, I'm trying to think of like, you could do these in acrylic so that you could write different little wish list things on them. You could turn this into sort of an advent calendar thing where you put in maybe a Christmas activity and pull it out each day what you're going to do. So many things.
Like a seasonal swear jar, I guess you could do as well.
Oh, it could be letters to the elf. You know how people do the elf on the shelf, and there's a whole, wow, folks get...
That's terrifying to me.
Folks get wild with that. Anyway, someone that I know is doing a storyline where the elf is having a baby.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's involved.
I know.
Okay. All right. Well, elf aside, we'll reset for a second, back to the Glowforge Print app, and I'll share my screen and show you how we get started with this. Now, of course, if you're already a Glowforge owner, please bear with us. Maybe use this chance to share something that you love about Glowforge, or your top tip, or your favorite material, or something like this. But for those of you who might not have seen this before, here we are. This is the Glowforge Print app, and actually what we're looking at right now, my favorite feature, live preview, is a photograph of the piece of material that we have inside the Glowforge bed. And why this is key is this. When I grab my design like this digitally and I move it around on this material, that is where it's going to go.
Because see those little holes?
Yeah, that's going to be a problem. We don't want holes in our mailbox. We'll have like squirrels getting in there or something like that. So I can literally move this over here, avoid those holes. You'll notice now that on this side, we've got a couple of pieces that are kind of hanging off the edge. I can grab those, move those over here. You know, if we wanted to, I could take this and I could turn it around. And I'm working very visually, very intuitively on that surface and just arranging all the pieces exactly where I want them to go.
And that's how you could, if you wanted, like I mentioned, make different parts out of different materials.
Yeah, absolutely. And likewise, if you just want to print part of this, let's say you're mixing materials and maybe you're doing the door out of acrylic and this bit out of plywood, we can take the pieces that we don't want to print and just move them off to the side like this. You see how the colors kind of change? They go into a crosshatch pattern. That means they're kind of in a staging area. They're not going to print over there. And what's going to be printed is just what's here in the center on our material. And today I thought it could be interesting to show everybody how trace works. This is something that we talk about a lot. We haven't really shown live. So for those of you who aren't familiar, trace is a way of using a pen we had our friend Mary write her name for us this morning, on a piece of material, doesn't matter what it is, Sharpie on a piece of copy paper, something like this. Pop it in the Glowforge, we'll scan this and create something printable from it. And you can think of it kind of like a 3D photocopier, you know. We'll talk a bit more about it later, but let's just throw this in.
Super cool.
Now we don't have to be particularly precise about this at all, so I'm just going to pop it on the top like that. And if I zoom out in my app, you'll see in just a moment that piece of material that we just thrown in there is just going to appear right in the center. And then we're going to use this plus button and the trace feature to actually scan it and then add our personalization just over here. Now, I also didn't mention before that we can actually take these designs and we can copy and paste them too.
There it is.
Let's say you want to make these in bulk or make duplicates or something like that. We can make copies of those. Maybe you've got 2 kids and they want a mailbox each. But anyway, you can see Mary's writing is right there in the app. I can take my plus button and my trace tool right here. I'm going to allow this image to load, and then using this little marquee selection tool, I'm just going to drag around the name. And there we have it. Now, if that looks good and we're happy, great. We'll just click Place Artwork. And what you'll see in just a moment is something pretty magical. I can sort of pick this up like that. Isn't that cool? And then start to manipulate that. I mean, we've done this for 6 years apiece here. It doesn't get old. It's just something so cool about being able to do that. And there's so many different things it can apply to as well. So anyway, that is, in the crux of it, how trace works. Now, I can also show you one little thing here, which is kind of fun. If we was to retrace this, let's say this was an ornament or something, I could click inside these circular areas and I can actually tell Glowforge to cut these pieces out too. So trace is not just designed for engraving. You can actually create physical things with that, which is pretty neat.
That is neat. I love that. I love the idea of just bringing handwriting to life. Right? Is always really, really special. So many different, I mean, especially if it's a child's handwriting or like a loved one's handwriting, like a recipe. We like to do recipes, you know, engraved onto cutting boards or what have you.
Yeah, so fun. So here's our print setup, and you saw, I know I actually did it so quickly I didn't actually explain it, but I just resized this and positioned it exactly where I wanted it to go. Now that looks good to me, everything looks fine. So what I'm going to do next is actually zoom out, grab everything, and I'm just going to move it down into the bottom left corner so I'm not wasting material. And you'll see here these pieces
came with you.
Just need to go up there. And that's my fault. I'm used to using shortcuts like in Microsoft Word and things like that. So select all, copy, paste, undo, they all work in the app.
Yes, very nice.
Got a couple of things to mention. We're using Proofgrade today, so we've got a QR code down here on the right-hand side. Now that means that the app has recognized the material and preloaded it up here. And Bailey mentioned earlier on about settings. Now, this is important because each material requires a different combination of speed and power to make a really good mark or to cut all the way through. And we've saved all of these. And you'll notice there's no numbers here. But if you really want to get into the nitty-gritty of it, click this little arrow and you can see all of the different parameters that make up this setting. So if you feel like tweaking or messing around or experimenting a little bit, go into here. You can save the settings using the plus button if you want to. Otherwise, just use one of the settings that we've created here. And because this is a catalog print, all of these different things have been pre-configured for you. So literally, you just press print. You don't have to think about any of this stuff at all.
Catalog is great when you forgot to buy a gift or whatever, right?
Yeah. Or you just want like a head start.
Exactly.
You know? There's lots of blanks in there that you can use. Anyway, so let's hit print. Let's let Glowforge get on with its work, and then we'll go on to tip number 8, which actually is appropriate for this because this is how we're going to start this print.
Yes.
Now you probably noticed Glowforge here is a pretty simple looking machine, at least externally. We've only got one button on here because everything else is controlled via that app on the web. And this is really neat because it means that we virtually can improve this, add new features, roll out software updates, all that kind of stuff remotely. So every time you log in, you're using the latest and greatest version of the app.
Just one button, just one plug too. There's just like one simple, there's no, it's just, you're not going to fill your office with cables or anything.
Yeah, which is great.
And here we go, it is glowing.
Are you and me this time?
You did all the work,
You're too kind. It's very satisfying to press that button, by the way. You'll probably find people fighting over it.
Oh yeah.
And here we go.
Here it goes. So this is in real time. Obviously, we don't have this sped up or anything. It surprises people sometimes that engraving does take longer than cutting.
Yeah.
Because engraving goes back and forth like this, like it's doing now. Whereas cutting, it goes like scissors would, just in a straight line, and it goes through. It's maybe moving a little bit slower, but it like makes progress faster. If that makes sense.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. This is kind of like one of those old school dot matrix printers, if you remember that, and it's using almost like a half-tone pattern to create these different designs on the surface.
So you can see the word Mary is appearing.
It's pretty neat.
Yeah.
Now this is a pretty big print with a lot of engraving, so it's going to take about 8 minutes or so. So while that keeps going, let's keep going through our top tips.
Yes, so we just showed you how to print a catalog design and how to add a trace element to it. But there's other ways that you can design for Glowforge too. If you know how to use programs like Illustrator or Photoshop or CAD or any of those, you're in luck. You basically, any design that you can export to a PDF, you can cut and engrave with the Glowforge. So if you're a designer, great, you'll be like 10 steps ahead, but you don't need to be. I'm certainly not a designer at all. Like I use really simple programs. I don't always use catalog designs. I do like to make my own things, but I'll use like PowerPoint or something like that, you know, just to make. It can be really that
exactly,
simple. Yeah. And so I made a ton of my own wedding decor. I make gifts all the time, or I'll use basically I use the app. Like I love when you explain it like this, Nick, how we use the Glowforge app almost like a place to bring different elements together. Like for example, for Christmas this year, my family is doing just like a book exchange. So we just buy a book for each person that we, reminded them of us. We think they'll like it, that sort of thing. And so I'm going to make Glowforge hardwood bookmarks, and we've got this great design in the catalog. You could show it even if you can hop onto the catalog.
I can find that. Let's see.
And so I'll look up the titles to books like, let's see, like my sister-in-law, she really loves, kind of like historical fiction and, women throughout history and stuff like that. So I'll find a whole bunch of like famous historical women figures and put those on the spines of the books for hers,
That's great. Yeah. And, I've not actually seen this design before, Bailey.
Isn't that cute?
Yeah, that is
I'm
pretty
really
neat.
excited about it.
Yeah. Look at that. And if you add a little splash of color like this person has done as well, that is...
Yeah.
That's legit right there.
So, and then maybe I'll do a quote on the back. I'm not sure what I'm going to do exactly, but so
that.
I'm not going to use any design programs at all, but I'm going to customize a catalog print. But again, if you are a designer, like the sky's your limit with what you can do with the Glowforge.
Yeah, 100%. And actually, if you're looking to achieve something really specific, we've got the catalog with a lot of designs in there. But if there is something in there that you can't find, try checking out something like Etsy, for example. There are tons of people out there, Glowforge owners just like yourselves, who are creating designs and offering them for sale as digital assets that you can use with your Glowforge.
Or if you want to learn techniques, there's YouTube videos like create a living hinge with Glowforge that like our customers, people who have owned a Glowforge for years, they like just love making tutorial videos and showing how to do software.
You're all so helpful out there. It's
I don't know, we didn't ask you to do that.
But we are very grateful that you do. Please don't stop.
Yeah, so definitely if you have the ambition and you want to learn to design for Glowforge, you certainly can, but you don't need to because there are a ton of existing designs out there. So that's it. And then we already kind of covered the next one, which is just the ability to design with just a pen. And let us show you some other examples of trace. So we showed you the Mary that we put on the mailbox. Now here's one. This one's so cool.
This is nice.
This is like a slate cake tray. And so here's like a handwritten recipe. And so we, threw this into the bed of the Glowforge. It took the photo. We digitized it just like you saw Nick do a moment ago. And then we engraved it on slate.
Another cool thing about this as well is once you've saved this, once you've scanned it with your Glowforge, it is saved in your My Designs dashboard. And so, if you have another idea that might utilize something from one of these trace elements, you can just add it to your next design. It's always going to be there.
Yeah.
It's a really nice way of preserving something like this piece of paper that might, over time, kind of degrade, I suppose.
Yeah. This feels so fancy and high-end. Like, this feels like, I don't even know how much it would cost to get something custom like that at Pottery Barn.
Screw it together.
Screw it in, so it crash it slate into a Glowforge. Can you imagine? That would not be fun.
Live on air?
Yeah.
That would be amazing.
Don't drop a stone on your Glowforge. But those, you can get those blanks at Michael's or on Amazon or something like that. They're really not too expensive and they engrave beautifully. So I would really recommend slate. That's a non-proof grade material that we're really fond of here. We've always got it around.
It's a good one. Yeah, slate, marble, granite, anything like that. Try checking out your local tile store. There might be something in there.
Definitely.
Take a sample, try it at home.
Yes. Nick and I both recently just moved house, so I think we're going to have lots of Glowforge made interior design stuff. I was just thinking tiles. I'm like, oh, I got an ugly fireplace that I got to do something about. Yeah.
Okay, all right. Challenge is on. We'll do a fireplace special in the future.
Oh, I love that. So our number 5 thing that you need to know is just the differences between the Glowforges. So I'm not sure if we mentioned we're printing with the Glowforge Pro here today. This is our top of the line. It's our most powerful unit. It's the fastest. It was made to work for you all day. So it has advanced cooling so that you never have to pause during prints, which sometimes if you're printing continuously in a hot environment, the basic or the plus models may need to pause, but we did build that in. The plus doesn't need to do that. It's your workhorse, your VIP.
Yeah, it's true. It just doesn't stop.
Yep,
exactly. Our customers
exactly.
like to joke that it's their favorite employee, their
Exactly.
favorite colleague, because you throw in an idea, it gets on with it while you make a tea, email a customer, whatever it might be.
Yeah.
Supervise it, of course, but let it do its thing.
Right, and it's up to 3 times faster than the basic at its top speed, but the big difference is the pass-through slot. So if you can see in the front, there's like that yellow sticker. Right below that, there's a slot, and then there's another one in the back. And because of that, we can actually pass through a huge piece of material like this. This is a piece of proof grade, believe it or not.
Yep, 20 inches wide, about 4 feet long.
Yeah.
Do you have one of those 20 by 12s there?
Yeah.
It's always kind of interesting to hold this up compared to this. So what Bailey's holding right now is the biggest piece of material you can fit inside a basic or a plus.
That's like how big the bed is.
That's it.
Like
and
this.
This piece of material might be 4 feet long, but technically it could be infinitely long, really.
Yes.
It just has to be no more than 20 inches wide and a quarter inch thick. But yeah, that allows you to create really big things. On the back of here, upside down, sorry, is this big Home Sweet Home sign.
So cool.
Somebody made for us.
And then behind you can see that really neat pencil measuring height.
Oh, yeah,
You can see exactly how tall you are there, Nick. Oh, it's not on the ground.
It's making me feel short right now, but...
No, I think that's making you look like 6'2" or something, wasn't it? Leave that there.
Shouldn't it be like this, though, if I was 6'2"?
Oh,
anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, here's another example. Really simple. Bit of a splash of paint on here. This one has got some acrylic letters, which is really nice too.
Yeah.
All of those could be made on a basic or a plus, but this piece here, much more difficult to make on a basic or a plus.
Yeah, so our number 4 tip was definitely just be aware of pass-through. Don't buy a Glowforge and then later be like, wait a minute, because there is no ability to upgrade, unfortunately, after you purchase.
Yeah.
I don't know how to, the DIY slot. I'm sure people have tried it, but
probably
do not recommend.
It's not going to work. You won't have the software to run it. I'm really sorry.
Yes, because there actually is specific software built into the Glowforge app for pass-through that helps you, complete a big print like that in multiple steps. And Nick and I have done that live a couple times.
Yeah.
So if you're on YouTube or Facebook right now, scroll back in our videos to find some of our pass-through lives so you can see that in action. It's super cool. It's really amazing.
Yeah, it's
camera work.
It's incredible.
The Glowforge camera.
Yes. Oh yeah. Not us. No.
It just looks like this. Yeah. So that's the difference between the 3 forges. There's a basic, a plus, a pro. It goes from pro, plus, basic in terms of speed and
Speaking of
and
speed.
it kind of just depends on, speaking of speed, this is almost done, isn't it?
Yeah, we were talking before about the difference between engraving and cutting speed. Wow, I can barely get under there. You see how much quicker
like
this is
running
going?
from you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's right down in this corner. I'm so sorry. But anyway, the point is, cutting is really quick.
Yeah.
This right now is going all the way through this piece of 1/8 inch maple plywood, all in one go, and that print is done.
Yeah.
Now, we don't really have to wait for it to cool down or anything like that. It is ready to open up, so we can lift that lid.
There's like a bunch of different built-in fans inside the Glowforge that help.
See if I can do this. So here's our piece left in there. There's the central piece too.
Beautiful.
And here we have it.
Grab this.
The reason I wanted to show the cutting actually was tip number 3 about ventilation.
Yeah.
Cutting was going to show you some smoke, but it happened so quickly I didn't get the opportunity
Well, there
to do
was
that,
a little bit of smoke, and the fans are pulling that out and through the back of the Glowforge. And let me show you. Let me move some of our stuff. So what you got to do every time you're printing on a Glowforge is be prepared. Oh, you have that. I'm looking for the camera. Hi. Is ventilate. So this is a dryer hose. It comes with your Glowforge. It's just like a standard dryer hose, like for a dryer or AC unit or whatever. You attach it to the back like this. We have this attached to an air filter over here, which I'll show you in just a moment. But if you are like what I do at home, I have a window right next to my desk, right next to my Glowforge, and you can just throw this out a window or a door. So that is what most people do. I would say most owners don't have the air filter. It kind of just depends on where you're printing. However, if you're, somewhere really cold or really hot, you don't want to have a window or door open, or you're in a,
maybe a basement, school, something like this.
This is our air filter, so you can see here's where the tube would attach. This end would go to the Glowforge. We just put it here to not trip us. So this is, not too big. You can sit right below your Glowforge, and it just has this one dial on it. It has a replaceable cartridge that will fill up, and so you move the dial as it fills, and then you'll just need to replace the cartridge.
That's it. This is kind of a trend there, isn't there? A Glowforge one-button operation.
Yes, we do.
So I'm definitely tangled up here. There
Keep
we go.
it easy.
Yeah. But here we have it. Let's show that. Let's show Mary's handwriting alongside
side by side.
Yeah, because you can see exactly. I've kind of stolen Bailey's job here.
Oh, no, I know. I'm like, where is it? And
but you
also,
can see how perfect that is. Oh yeah.
Speaking of which,
proof grade.
We didn't mention that our proof grade materials are coated, and that's why this looks so light. This is maple, so it's already a light wood, but it's coated in this adhesive.
If you can see as Bailey's peeling, there's some sort of smoky char around the engrave. And that's just the smoke that comes off the wood as we're vaporizing it, or eviscerating as
we eviscerate the wood. It's like crafting with evisceration. Made it very intense, hardcore.
But the masking tape captures all of that smoke, so you can peel it right off. Which, you know, if you're looking for a quick result, or maybe you're a business owner who's looking to be able to sell things like this, then there's no finishing required. No need to sand, no need to varnish, stain, anything like that. It is ready to go.
And then you could peel just parts of the, like when I do that bookmark that we were showing you earlier, I'll peel around the one that I want to, or sorry, I'll peel just the book that I want to color, and then that way it'll be like a stencil for me to follow, rather than having to like paint within the lines, which would be much far too hard. Yeah,
without any of the effort.
Exactly. I'm going to use paint pens. I'm just gonna,
there we go.
Exactly.
That should be another tip, right?
Yeah, paint pens. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay, sorry, that threw us off now. We're like, how many more tips can we do? We are running out of time a little bit, so let's move on to number 2, which, I mean, you probably noticed as we were working with this how easy and intuitive and powerful this is, and it's probably no surprise that Glowforge is actually the #1 laser for schools, due to those reasons and many more.
What a time to be alive that there is a #1 laser, and there's a #2 laser probably, and there's probably #3.
Yeah, I guess so.
Now
I'm just thinking about what if I went back to school.
I know, Nick and I didn't have lasers in school. I mean, to be fair, the CO2 laser engraver technology has been around since like the 80s.
Yeah, it's not new.
And an old school Chinese laser cutter, the base technology is not that different from a Glowforge, but we've put in a lot of bells and whistles to make it a lot easier to use. Yes. I've used one of those. Our CEO had me use one when I first started, kind of put it through the paces. Whew.
Yeah, it's entirely possible if you're willing to read that giant manual.
Exactly. So these are so perfect for schools and really teachers of all ages and subjects, everywhere from science and art to the theater department making costumes and sets and
by schools we're not talking little kids necessarily. Like, this is everybody from elementary all the way through to sort of college age, 18, 19, 20, 21 plus. Making robots, things like that. There's the drone up there in the top corner that you can probably see.
Yeah, there's an instructor here at, what's the school here in Seattle?
Cornish?
At Cornish, and he does, Casey, he does these like kinetic sculptures. They take up like a room and every piece of them just moves a tiny bit. Yeah. It's like it's breathing. It's amazing.
It's beautiful, it's beautiful. We've done a spotlight on him, so if you're interested, check out YouTube, Casey from Cornish University. You can see his incredible work.
So, and then the last tip is just that you don't need to take off, a whole day of work when the day your Glowforge arrives. We call that Glowforge Day. Very exciting. Or maybe you should because you can print all day. You don't need a whole day to set up your Glowforge. It just takes most people 30 minutes from box to print. It's as simple as setting up any Wi-Fi enabled device. Just kind of like find your Wi-Fi network and the two say hello and we're ready to print.
That's about it.
We like we said, your Glowforge comes with that starter pack of proof grade materials. There are a couple starter designs in the app, and we kind of walk you through your first print or two. When my dad got his Glowforge, I was definitely expecting to be setting it up with him on a video call. This was a couple years ago now. And nope, I knew it was coming, and I got a text a couple hours later with a picture of a little box that he'd printed.
Your poor dad.
Okay, I felt very unneeded. Well.
Did nothing go wrong, Dad? Nothing at all?
Wait, but you had Bailey from Glowforge on speed dial, and you didn't even need me.
I know, I'm sorry.
I know.
If anybody out there needs some help, Bailey's waiting to help somebody, just let us know.
Well, on that note, we do have a discount code for this live stream, so if you're going to get a Glowforge this month, maybe you're going to start a business next year or just a new hobby or what have you, glowforge.com/North Pole is good through the end of the year, so through December 31st, which is right around the corner. Oh my gosh, this year flew by. I cannot believe it. But we'll be back, next year with lots of shows. We're really excited. This has been a lot of fun. Please leave in the comments the type of prints and projects you'd like to see, because we want to do more and different things for you next year. And thanks for joining.
Absolutely. Thanks, everybody.
Bye.